Hey, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Kolpack and Izzo Podcast, brought to you by Gate City Bank. With Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dome Izzo. North Dakota State set for a quarterfinal date this Saturday as they'll welcome in the Buccaneers of East Tennessee State University, the champions of the Southern Conference, who edged out Kennesaw State 32-31 last weekend to get a date, a first-ever trip to the Fargodome. The game seems almost secondary or even tertiary to me with the other items going on around it. Most notably, Jeffrey, the lack of fan interest, apparently, for the game here locally on Saturday.
Yeah, we are late Thursday morning. Do we have a number yet?
Not yet.
We haven't heard?
Potentially less than last week is what I initially heard.
Yeah, there's a movement on from some former players to get tickets in people's hands, but I don't think that would make a whole lot of difference.
Maybe some.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difference. So good for them, for doing that. But it's the old story. This is nothing new. This isn't breaking news. This isn't like this happened overnight.
Nope.
It's something that's been happening and brewing for a while. And it shouldn't catch anybody by surprise.
Let alone the administration at NDSU or the Fargodome on this. That to me would be number one. And we have discussed it. I've discussed it on my show. I had it in my commentary piece that you can see at inform.com on what I would do to enhance.
What would you do? What you would do, and then I'll repeat.
So I'm talking about the game experience to get people there, and people of my age and younger constantly on their phones. I think Wi-Fi is a bigger deal than I think people give it credit for. All the newer stadiums you see that are being built, all the new ones down in Minneapolis, the first thing they have is free stadium Wi-Fi for anybody. It's the first thing you have when you pops up in your phone. Would you like to connect to the free stadium? That's a deal. It's a deal, especially when the Fargodome is part of the game experience, Jeff, is that, send us your photos, tweet, Bison game day. Well, if you're doing that, you're doing that on your own
That's
data
a great
plan.
point.
You're doing that in your own data plan. And with 12,000 people, it may not move nearly as fast as you want it to. I think that's a big deal. Second, I think, is concessions. I think I got here in September of 2006. I'm not sure, maybe a slight change in a few of the items that are offered at the Fargodome. I don't eat a whole lot. I've been to a couple concerts in my time here. Obviously, we eat up in the press box, so I don't go down and dabble in the concession area. But I can tell for people that do there, that hasn't changed a whole lot. That I would address. The food trucks we have in this town are amazing. The Shack has done that. The Fargo Phillies is now part of the Bison basketball environment. I would reach out to those to maybe change it up a little bit. For those that aren't diehard into the game, how do you get people there? Some fun food. That's a big thing there. Third, and this is maybe not third on the priority list, I think, Jeff, are the seats. The blue and red seats are an eyesore. They don't necessarily have to be green and gold, but I think they have to be changed. They haven't changed in the 30-year history of the building, and I think that, to me, would be something that would be on their list. Those are my top three.
Okay, those are three. Okay.
Yeah.
And I agree with those three, and I'll add on to that. Four, and you don't necessarily agree, but I think you need to give the presence of alcohol sales. It is 2021. It's sold all over the country in every big stadium. It's sold in NCAA stadiums. Most of the Valley that I can see has the same thing. I don't think it'll be a big deal. I don't think we haven't noticed it in basketball where alcohol is sold. It hasn't been an issue, hasn't been a problem. I think there's a faction of people who probably binge drink in the tailgate lot because they know there's no alcohol sold. I think that would help control that portion of it. Like, okay, I don't need to slam 4 beers because I'm not going to Labby's until 4 hours later. Yeah. I think that would help that issue. I do. Number 5, hire a DJ. Go around the student section. Play music at half. Maybe use that corner as a, remember when game day came, how the students were all over that DJ before they came on?
That's right.
Do something like that. Throw somebody in the student crowd and make that corner. You don't have to watch the whole game. You're not required to. Go have some student stuff there. I don't know. I'm 57. I'm not a student, but do what they do is what I'm saying. Number 6, I know you need to add bathrooms, and they know they have to expand the concourse. It's not going to come overnight. Mm-hmm. And if you sell beer, you're going to, there's always an issue of bathrooms and lines. I don't know, maybe do something as a Band-Aid. I'm just throwing something out. North-south end, there's those doors outside. Put some porta potties out there. Fence them so you can only get in there from the inside.
Interesting.
Throw a big porta potty roll out there.
I mentioned on my show, how about lighting in the concourse? When you go in, it
is
dank.
dark.
It's
dark.
dank in there.
Yeah.
If I understand it's a 30-year-old building, but maybe spruce that up. Make it so it's not like it's dark and dingy immediately when you go right inside the dome. I thought that to me stood out as well.
So, and there's two broader points I have. Number one, and nobody asked me what to do, but I'll tell you what I do, okay? I'm not in control. I'm not in charge. I would, if I were NDSU, I would hold some sort of a spring retreat with everybody, okay? And all ideas are on the table.
Marketing, athletics, the whole
everybody.
Shebang. Would you invite the Fargodome to that too?
Why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All ideas are on the table. No idea is a dumb idea, okay? We got to blow this up and start over and say, okay, what do we need to do to engage people? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I would hold go somewhere. I don't know, go to DL or go to a resort or something and say, okay, give me your idea. Okay, you work from us. You're my assistant AD. You're my associate. You're the head coach. They should be involved. Why not? I mean, it's not their deal. This is not Matt Entz's fault, by the way. This has nothing to do with the football team. But if he wants to be a part of it, yeah. So give me your ideas. There's a big portion of this population, not big, but a pretty substantial, I would imagine, that's moved here since 2013. Engage them somehow. Go to Microsoft. Do what you do. I'm not a marketing guy, but you need to engage fans. Don't assume they automatically know what NDSU football is. When somebody moves here from Seattle as a Microsoft exec, they all they know is UW and Pac-12.
So I got this email in addressing that. It says marketing. For the better part of the past 10 years, NDSU team makers could sit back and the dome would be full for football games. Now this is not happening. NDSU team makers need to up their game and develop a marketing strategy to bring back the old fans as well as connect with the new next generation of potential fans.
Next generation. Do what the Red Hawks do. Do a 4-pack family tickets. I think the fact you have to belong to team makers is for season tickets or something. Do a 4-pack for $100. Okay, 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, or whatever they do. Maybe do that. Okay, on a broader scope on that too. The Fargodome, I know they've had plans on the books for what, 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
It's been a while since you first wrote that story and I did it. It's been almost a decade now.
Expand to the West. You know what? It's time to get off the pot. Spend the money. Okay, I know they're probably waiting for a convention center of some sort, a naming rights partner. Can't wait any longer.
Yeah.
It's time to spend the money. It's time that place needs to be swanked up. It's 30 years old.
It'll be 30 years old in 2 years here, or next year, basically. We're basically in 2022.
It's running on 30 years old. The Metrodome was demolished after dang near 30 years, right?
And think of the pushback. Jeff would say, they fixed the sound. I think they did that for concerts more than Bison football.
They did the video boards.
They fixed the video boards. Those were for the fans. They fixed the lighting. I think that was more for ESPN. That was more for television than it was for better enjoyment for the fan. What have they done to address the actual fan involvement of the game?
Would another sales tax pass? Now the problem is it's 60% supermajority, but the benefits that building people out there have been enormous. It's by far the best thing Fargo has ever done.
Yes,
not even close.
It saved the city in 2009. It did. For what it was able to do with the sandbags there.
I'd go another half-cent sales tax. Absolutely.
I think there would be support for that. I do. It's not just for 6 football games, whatever it is, 7, 8 football games a year. It's beyond that for what it means. It's really interesting. And I want to thank everybody, I know you do as well, that came to our subscriber event at Herd and Horns on our Wednesday night. That was outstanding. It was great to interact with people, actually read your stories, watch our stuff, listen to the podcast.
Really enjoyed it.
That was awesome. And I had different reasons there. I got 5 different reasons there. One was cost.
Yep.
Which I totally understand that. Pandemic is still there.
I heard that last night.
Another one was brought up was the quality of opponent. Knowing the game's going to be a blowout. Save my money and go to another game. I've heard that. I don't think, though, Jeff, those first 2 are keeping 6,000 to 7,000 people away. The cost and COVID is not keeping that many people
the NCAA is not helping matters either with their dumbing down of the game day atmosphere. It's not really exciting, is it?
Nope.
You know, they play
Correct.
that music that looks like it should be an intro to the
from 1985
to the gymnastics
it's a ways,
or something.
It's old. Yep,
It's like a gymnastics intro.
They have not helped matters there. No, but it goes beyond just the playoff games. It goes into the regular season games as well. You know, does that mean, you know, I would not get on this board on the Gold Star Marching Band. I have no problem with them and their performances. You know, you mentioned a DJ. Can we mix both? Can we have a little mix of old and new? You know, you mentioned the retreat. Go see what it's like where the other places
go to other stadiums,
right? Where they're packed in. What are they doing? What are they doing to keep people there? Even for Alabama, when they still play Mercer or whatever, they're still getting 90,000 there. Tell us how. You know, I would seek feedback on that. To me, I think I've always found that for myself and trying to get better in my profession. I think that would help. It would go a long ways here.
I feel like, remember when Michael Tutsi, after the Bison lost at Southern Illinois, his famous quote was, "We thought we could just roll the helmets out and win." I kind of feel like that's what we're seeing right now. Just sort of rolling the helmets out and doing the same thing.
I just got this tweet in here as we're going. Something needs to change. I no longer live in the area, but my brother-in-law's family pulled their season tickets of 30-plus years. Simply became too expensive to justify going. And you've heard that several times from friends of yours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had friends, several, who maybe they had 8 season tickets, they have 4. Maybe they had 6, they have 2. Yeah. Because their kids move on.
Right.
Okay. Well, now the next generation of fans, where are they?
Yep.
Where are those guys and gals and married couples and kids and families? I mean, it's not. It's like my golf game over the last 10 years. It's just been a slow slide. How is that for an analogy?
Well, I will go back to 5 years ago this weekend. Bison are playing NDSU in the quarterfinal round, right? Granted, that's a natural rival, but attendance for that game, 18,285. Packed, loud, ready to roll. The season opener that following year was Mississippi Valley State, team they knew they were going to smoke. Still at 18,502 for a team that they scored 70 on. You know, that's just, they've hit 18,000 once, and that was homecoming with Northern Iowa this year. After that, it hasn't been close.
All right.
And that may be the new reality going forward. Homecoming might be the big game, maybe if South Dakota State is on the schedule, and the home opponents this year were just okay. It's not anybody, Missouri State, Indiana State. It wasn't South Dakota. You know what I mean? It wasn't SDSU. It wasn't UND. Like next year, can we have that conversation next year and see what attendance is like when the Jacks and UND are on the home schedule? I'm curious about that too. Yep. It's not going away. And people will say, well, Tom and Jeff, next week they're going to be 18,000 there for the semifinal game. But that's the problem. They've saved up, counting on the fact the Bison are going to play in that, which is crazy.
Well, it goes back to cost then. It goes back to cost.
You're not going to, it's not going the other way, right? You've done plenty of
I think
business stories
we've laid out our plan here.
Yeah.
Our thoughts.
And they've even taken away 2 sections of student fans. It's not the students either. Remember, because we were on that. They took 2 sections of fans away from the students, and they're still coming. The students have done well. I don't think there's been any issue there.
Yeah, they sold out their tickets against South Dakota. They took all their tickets.
It's not been there. I enjoy that discussion and curious to see where things go out of there. Should we actually talk about the football game?
Yeah, in our few remaining minutes, let's
So East Tennessee State, a program that's only been back for about 6 years, won its conference this year, 11-1. Outstanding running back in Quay Holmes is one of the finalists for the Walter Payton 17 rushing touchdowns this season. What do you make of the Bucks, who are fortunate to still be playing football right now?
That come from behind victory was unlikely against Kennesaw State. I think they have the running back's good, solid. I don't think he's going to get 100. That's my personal opinion. NDSU's been good on the run all year. They're the best run defense in the country. If he gets 150, then NDSU's in a boatload of trouble a little bit.
Yep.
But I just think there's a difference in physicality of this game. There's a difference in athlete. There's a difference at the line of scrimmage. Doesn't mean that things are going to play out that way. Yeah. But I'm telling you, when you look at it on paper, there's a difference.
And just to tie back to our first topic, even if there are 12,000 fans there, that'll be louder than any game ETSU has played in front of this year. And I know they played at Vanderbilt, but Vandy football fans are not necessarily known for their passion and outrageousness. even 12,000, Jeff, that will be a factor for ETSU on Saturday.
Right, and ETSU quarterback
Tyler
Riddell is under center the whole time. I don't think they're in shotgun much, are they?
Not much.
I haven't seen much. So under center, the silent count becomes a little more different, if at all. Right?
Correct.
It's a different silent count. I don't know how you do it because I've seen the clap for so many years now.
Yes.
I forgot how they do silent count under center. But we'll see how he handles that because it'll still be noise. It's not like it's going to be quiet when the Bucks have the ball.
Right now, the last line came out. The Bison are now 27-point favorites in this game on Saturday. So it went up from 21 to start the week. So Vegas believes that this game is not going to be very close on Saturday.
Vegas does their research, remember?
They know their stuff.
Yeah, they do.
They know their stuff. There's no doubt about it. I am interested, and maybe they know their stuff, if Christian Watson plays in this football game. Now, the All-American wide receiver did not play last week with a hamstring injury. Is this another week to rest him?
Does he play this season if the Bison win? We don't know. We just don't know.
I don't think he plays this weekend. I don't think they need him to play this weekend. I do think they need him to play next weekend. If he's good enough to go, he needs to be out there next week.
It's interesting. You're talking about 27-point favorite, and we do our picks for our special section on Tuesday because of deadline purposes with the special section. That's my margin.
Is it really?
It is.
27.
27.
There you go. I think he doesn't play this weekend, but I think you see him back next. I guess an opponent like James.
How do you
Madison
know
of
this?
Montana.
It's just a gut feeling.
The gut I'm going with. It's not anything of inside intel on that. And it goes to my next point because I don't think the Bison can just run it against Montana and ETSU or James Madison. They can do that this weekend, but without Noah Gindorf and without Christian Watson, that's two big holes there in the Bison passing attack that I don't know if you're going to find that between now and next week's semifinal game if they win this weekend. And that goes to the Gindorf story, which you pretty much broke on Monday accidentally.
Well, I didn't break it, but I theorized it.
With Gindorf's serious ankle injury, had surgery on Wednesday, tweeted out Tuesday.
In one of the most all-time best tweets ever.
The great Leo DiCaprio scene from Wolf of Wall Street that
I'm back. I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. He's coming back.
It's one where I couldn't take that tweet and put it in the family digital product of the Inform.
But obviously, what that means, Jeff, twofold. He's not coming back this season, but he will become now the 11th starter back for the Bison in 2022, which is remarkable. And obviously, the injury would have taken Gindorf out of all the professional football prep to get ready for the All-Star games.
And my theory, easy theory, of course, is this gives him another chance for pro football.
Yes,
gives them another opportunity.
Absolutely there. But that goes to my point. If the Bison are able to win this week, those are two of Cam Miller's top threats to throw the ball to, and Gindorf and Watson. If they're not out there, what does NDSU have at that spot of experience? There's really none outside of Braylon Henderson. I'm counting Sproles out of that. Outside of Braylon Henderson, you've got Raja Nelson, DJ Hart. I mean, you got guys who have not caught the football in big-time spots yet.
With ETSU's 3-4, did they blitz the whole kit and caboodle like UND did every time?
Maybe.
I would.
Yeah.
Why not? I would.
Throw anything at the wall to stick here,
make
right?
DJ Hart beat you. Not Turmeric.
Or just get Josh Babbage back involved. We didn't see him really involved in the game last week.
And he can get vertical, too.
Yep. He can get down the field, is exactly right. Joe Stuffle might be another name, the young tight end who's on the depth chart now as the backup to Babbage. He caught a pass, I think it was Indiana State. So maybe we see more of him. The Bison coaches really like him, love his hands. So he's been the up man this year. I think he's caught the kickoff like 3 or 4 times. You don't see tight ends normally involved in that particular part of the game on special teams. So defensively wise, I think you mentioned off the top, the Bison have been at a different level, I'd say, for every game outside of one half in Brookings this year.
Braden Thomas has been phenomenal.
Really good.
Just absolutely phenomenal. And continuing to really – does he have a pro shot?
I would think so.
Yeah, he's got to give it a chance.
Yeah, I would think so. With his size and his speed, absolutely. It appears Jasir Cox and Will Mostart will be back after they sat out last game with the flu. Cole Wisniewski was, I thought, outstanding again, and just points to the future at that spot is rock solid for the Bison with that young man there.
Yeah, and who's going to take over Jackson Hankey? Maybe Cole Wisniewski moves in
Maybe he moves into that middle spot, maybe. I know they still like Luke Wirtz a lot, who's obviously missed the majority of this season with an injury that there. But you already know you're getting Jasir Cox and James Kaiser back next season. That's a good way to start for 2022 that way. Let's chat a couple other things here before we roll on, and we'll get to some picks before we wrap things up. Obviously, the Valley with 2 representatives left. South Dakota State back on the road again. Went to the West Coast, took out Sacramento State, now getting on an airplane going all the way to the East Coast to take on Villanova on Saturday.
Yeah, I've been saying it for 2 weeks now. I see an all-Valley final in Frisco.
You've come around.
Yes.
Because that's what I picked at the start of the postseason. So
I picked it on our show.
You think the Jackrabbits go to Philadelphia and take care of Villanova?
I just don't think anybody can stop the run game. And their defense is good enough to slow down Sam Houston, who I think is going to beat Montana State.
You're giving away all your picks already here. Pace yourself.
It's easy. I'm so excited. It's postseason.
The game tomorrow night is the game actually to talk about with Montana and James Madison. Those are 2 old rivals. They've met a couple times in the postseason, once in the national championship game, another time in the semifinals. Does Montana have the defense to keep up with James Madison?
Yeah, I just think out this time of the year, the home field advantage is such a big deal. And on a Friday night game, James Madison, by the way, same ticket uproar.
Yeah, we've heard
at
that.
Harrisonburg.
Yep.
So it's not new
there.
to NDSU. Nope. They're not selling out. So
it's not just unique here. Yep.
Same deal going on there. I think they're too athletic. They're at home. It's just that's too big of a combo.
I picked Montana.
You are?
I'm sticking with it. I'll go down with the ship on that one. I think I'd like to see how the Grizz play offensively. They obviously against Eastern Washington, when Berrier is going to throw it 80 times, you're doing what you can. You're hanging on by your fingernails there. The Montana defense against 3 redshirt freshmen for JMU on their offensive line. I'm eager to see if they can get after Cole Johnson in this game. I'm looking forward to that one tomorrow night. That should be a fun game. I do want to talk before we go on some basketball stuff. Bison men will play Cal State Northridge coming up tomorrow night. Sam Griesel was back in the lineup at Montana State.
Albeit limited, but he's back.
He played 14 minutes in that game. First time he'd been back since his abdominal surgery that he had in the middle of November, right after the first game against Concordia. I've had this question asked. We had it asked to us last night, so I'll ask you. What's up with Dave Richmond's team right now?
It just looks disjointed to me. I mean, I wish I had an answer for it. I don't know. Some of the veterans aren't playing well. Tyree Eady's not playing well. Rocky struggled mightily.
Yep. Had 6 shots in the game against Montana State.
Yeah, just struggled mightily.
You cannot have him take 6 shots in a basketball game.
So the way they're guarding him now, and maybe they didn't do it enough last year, was they're really, really tight on top with him.
Yep.
Really tight. Did you see where McDermott put a guard on him?
Yes.
Had a guard on him.
Grant Nelson had 3 shots in that game on Saturday. They seem out of sorts. They have all season long.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's all related to Griesel not being in the lineup, but you thought with this kind of experience, this team would not be 5-4 at this point of the season. That they would have gotten one of those games, the Creighton game, the UNLV game, the Montana State game, for certain they would not have lost.
Again, I don't know. Does Jay change the style of play? Do you go more run and gun up tempo?
I don't see that happening with his basketball teams. That doesn't seem out of sorts. And their last 3 non-conference games, it's Northridge tomorrow, Indiana State on Monday. That will be a good challenge. Missouri Valley team coming here, and then they go to Pacific out west in California to wrap up the non-conference. Those are, if you are hoping to make the NCAA tournament, those are 3 games you got to win, the next 3. And 2 of them at home. I'd like to see what happens there.
Really? You think what happens in March has a big deal to do with the next week?
I think that's
overstating it.
Do you?
Yep.
I'm not sure how good they are right now. You know, if you're going to beat us, and South Dakota State got beat last night by Idaho, so I don't know.
That was a shock.
In Idaho, the Bison won by 20 when they played here in Fargo. If you're going to win 3 consecutive games in Sioux Falls, you got to beat teams like this, I think. You know what I mean? Like Western Illinois looks like they're better. One of the best teams in mid-major basketball right now. Oral Roberts, you know what they have. You know what the Jacks have. You maybe put USD in that conversation, too. You're going to have to win games against teams like you're going to see here over the next 3 days.
I think it was the end of January and things were going like this, it'd be different, but not now. No, you're panicking.
Well,
you're panicking.
They should be better than what they are.
They are. I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying I don't think you can throw the Summit League tournament horse away right now.
There's still, we haven't got to conference play yet. Yeah. I get it, but for a team that had this much expectations and have this much back, I guess that's the part where you feel a little shortchanged so far in how they've played. The Bison women will play 7th-ranked Arizona tonight as we tape this. That's a tall challenge for Jory Collins' team.
I'm going to take Arizona straight up.
Facing
what do you think?
Lauren Ware's team out there at Arizona, last year's Nationals runner-up. I think that's probably a good pick there. Reminder, Bison Game Day is live at 10 a.m. on WDAY. We'll be back in the tailgate lot. Looking forward to the game, and as a perfect lead-in to the football game, 11 a.m. on ESPN between North Dakota State and East Tennessee State in the FCS quarterfinals. The winner to get a date in the FCS semis coming up next week. And we'll be there to capture it all. Inforum.com, WDAY will have you full coverage of the game coming up on Saturday. For Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dom Izzo. That's the latest Kolpack and Izzo podcast, brought to you by Gate City Bank.